All good?
Oh, all good. Okay, well that
Excellent.
was a exciting build-up for everyone. Now they got to.
Indeed. So we got a few viewers, which is nice, and we're recording for the folks at home who are asleep and/or working and/or otherwise engaged. So, hello to those of you at home.
Greetings.
So who have we got starting? We got Wingspan going first.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that's actually quite a. Oh, and by the way, the American is Groovenstein, and Flan is the one who sounds like somebody you actually want to hang out with.
Good evening.
Yeah. Wow, that's
Okay.
quite an interesting start there, along with the tray.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Some good options. There's you can go quite a nice forest engine there. You know, go with the dove and the sparrow. But equally the full tuck is on. Blackbird and barn swallow. So, you know, there's some options. Looks like Wingspan is maybe going to keep both.
Absolutely. Let's see, what do we've got? So we've got end of round is eggs in forest, eggs in cavity, eggs in bowl, and is that also eggs in grassland?
I think it's birds in grassland.
Birds, okay.
Yeah. So definitely, you know, the morning dove for that first end of round at least.
Absolutely.
You want to be playing that.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting they kept the rodent as well. It's just a little, you know, maybe the raven comes up, maybe it doesn't.
That's not a bad bet. And you know, sometimes, and I'm not saying that this is what Wingspanner was thinking, but you know, sometimes I think with my initial food choice, if there's like a piece of food that I'm indifferent about, I might just pick one that with the goal of maybe throwing my opponent off.
For sure. That is peak mind games. If you can keep a rodent, if you can afford to keep one at the start, absolutely. Yeah. Tay is going to be sweating right now when they see that.
Yeah.
Ooh, Brant. Now, if Tay was going first, this would be a lovely opportunity for a Brant. But sadly, I think at least one of those, the sparrow or the blackbird, is going to go. But they've got the chickadee as well. So, you know, that's not a terrible start.
I mean, yeah. Go ahead, mate.
Yeah, I think it will depend what comes up. If you know, I'm assuming that Wingspan is going to take either the chipping sparrow or the blackbird. I think it would depend what comes up as that other face-up card as to whether that Brant is going to be a really good play or just a decent play.
Sure. Yeah, and even so, I mean the turkey vulture is not completely useless. I mean, given the you know, the second round goal and the although he's got the chickadee, so I suppose that
looks like Wingspanner is going for the sparrow. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think get both of those down you know, in your forest, and you're getting 2 food and 2 eggs every turn. That's going to really help for that first end of round goal as well. That should be in the bag.
Sure.
It's interesting to see how Tay plays this now, because that pipit, probably not what they were hoping for coming up.
No, and the thing that always gets me a little nervous with the Brant, and where you really want to, you know, make sure that you're striking with it, is any time that you are revealing 3 new cards for your opponent, there's, you know, a much higher risk versus one card that they're all, you know, a big bird is going to show up.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're having second thoughts. They were about to play it. They were about to pick up those 3 cards, but second guessed themselves and went for the chickadee. I mean, you're absolutely right. You pick up those 3 cards, you have no idea what's going to come up next. And if it's the wood duck appears and then it's game over. So anything strong, your opponent's going to go for it.
Yeah, and another thing too, Tay probably was not. He realized that with Wingspanner picking up the chipping sparrow, maybe there's a less likelihood that he's up against a tucking engine.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think if Wingspanner was going to commit to the tucking engine, that blackbird would have gone rather than the chipping sparrow. But because Tay's not picked a card, the option's still there. Wingspanner could easily jump in and go for the blackbird.
Yep, and there you have it.
And that's exactly what they're doing.
Yep. So yeah, he's looking at a potentially, the dream setup where you could be getting, he's going to be getting 2 eggs in one habitat and 1 in the other before he even gets a grassland bird down.
Yeah, I mean they're all low point birds. You're playing 4 birds and you're getting 4 points, but like you say, you can almost avoid the grasslands this game, and you're getting 2 eggs from your forest, and you're getting 1 from your wetlands as well. So yeah, it's a strong setup for sure.
Gosh, and the thing you love about a dove, is, because the benefit of that bird, in particular early on, is that it gets you it lets you, like, you can set up 2 birds in 3 turns early with that card.
What I find interesting now, if I was Wingspanner in this situation, I would have played the chipping sparrow first, just for the ultimate mind games, because now Tay knows they've got the dove and the chipping sparrow. By playing the dove, Tay is waiting and sweating for that chipping sparrow to come up. But if you play that first, and then, oh, by the way, I've got the dove as well, that's going to sting.
Yeah, that's just speaks to a good kind of broader point generally about information, where you always, in a game, you always want to be, using the information that you have that your opponent doesn't, to your advantage. And sometimes it's to your advantage. You want to give your opponent information deliberately so that they act in the way you want. But yeah, I'm with you in this case. I think it would have been wise to keep that fact concealed.
Interesting to see what Tay does here. I like the Merganser in the tray, but they're not even really looking at that, because at the moment, the Brant is a one-use thing. You get 3 cards for it, but it doesn't really do much the rest of the game.
Sure. And he. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh well.
Oh no, I was just going to say, and he's got to remember that, Wingspanner's got the blackbird as well, which the Merganser always pairs very well. Because the thing with the disadvantage to the blackbird early on is that in order to use it, you can only gain a maximum of 1 card per wetlands turn, unless you have a bird that's going to net you an additional card like the Merganser.
No, I mean, you're right. It's a nice setup, blackbird and barn swallow in the wetlands. But you're right. You're only getting 1 card a turn there. It's a bit of a risk that you're not going to be able to draw enough cards to get the points, because as you see, most of these cards they're going to be getting down. Wingspanner, they're not big point birds yet.
Yeah.
Now on Tay's last turn, when they drew cards, they got the house wren, and I am very much liking that draw from the deck for them. That is Food Web Expert for their bonus card, meets that, 2 extra points, very nice. But that second round goal, eggs in the cavity nest, I think it's 5 spots on the house wren.
Yep.
plus the 3 that they've got from the chickadee and the 1 from the vulture. So they can really strongly target that, and obviously knowing what we know from Wingspanner's hand, not really getting close in terms of egg spots there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The one. Yeah. That's kind of a. It's going to be maybe a few turns before he can play that card, just because Teyray's. Teyray is only getting 2 food per turn. At the moment, so of course so is Wingspanner, but Wingspanner is also getting 2 eggs. Yeah, so I think Wingspanner is, Wingspanner's going to be probably getting that.
Yeah, it looks like they're just securing that end of round, at least.
Yeah.
Okay. Did wonder there maybe Tay could have laid eggs just to tie it, but probably thinking longer term, more sensible to get them against it down now.
Especially, and I think Teyray pointed this out in one of the chats or somewhere on the forum, where he said, you gotta really, there's very few times in the game where you get to see 3 new cards in the tray, right?
Yeah.
There's the round switches or an occasional card like a Brant or if somebody happens to draw all 3 cards, right? So I think you really want to maximize your draw when you get that opportunity. So I think that's probably what he was thinking, was that get the Merganser down so that he gets to look at 4 cards, 3 of which he's going to get to see exposed.
For sure. I think it's one of those times where if you're going first in the next round and it's coming up to the end of the round, you want to have in your mind that you're going to draw cards on that first turn.
Absolutely.
At least plan for it. If nothing good is in the tray, you can do something else, but at least be ready to have that option. Now, I'm looking at what Tay's drawn and kind of I can see why they're struggling on deciding what to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
Viria, I'm not sure about that. I maybe would have leaned towards keeping that if nothing else but for the end of round goals, but I'm not sure about the Blue Jay. Probably that would have been what I would have got rid of, but there you go.
Well, I wonder if he's thinking, because it's going to take him, it's going to, like, he needs 3 eggs before he's going to use that Vireo, and right now he just doesn't.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Have anything for grassland, so.
Yeah, no real grasslands going on. 2 eggs a turn. You want to get some cards down first, and go ahead.
Oh, sorry, man. I cut you out. We're still. Hey, it's our it's our first go. Bear with us, right? But no, I was gonna say on Wingspanner's play on the Swallow. I'm curious to see when they play the Blackbird, because one thing you wanna keep in mind, right, is when, like, if they play the Blackbird, the Blackbird is you have to throw a card away. If you do the Swallow, or if you do the Blackbird first and then the Swallow, then you kind of get to maximize the cards you look at before you have to decide which one you're gonna get rid of for an egg. But
right.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's one of those where I think, whether it's in the grasslands or if it's in the wetlands, you want to have your tuck and lay an egg bird last, because you want to cycle through as many cards as you can, and then at the end of your turn tuck the one that you like the least. Now Phoebe's come up, which is always an interesting one.
But where's Geest?
Where's
is that
Geest?
Aging Geest?
Geest is probably asleep right now, but the Phoebe, Geest is here in spirit whenever the Phoebe appears. So it's probably a card that Tay would have benefited more from, I'd say, than Wingspanner. They've got quite a nice, food and egg situation in the forest already.
Oh yeah.
And our Mother Love's got some interesting points in the chat. We've got obviously barn swallow down. We've got blackbird in the handle. Now we've got coot in the tray. So, that more of these tucking birds come up. How soon do you go towards the full tuck?
Sure.
So always an interesting dilemma. If the opportunity comes up, I normally go for it, but it's a bold move to commit towards something when actually you've got quite a nice thing going on in the forest, as I said.
Sure. Now,
I feel like Tay is not liking their cards right now because this is a lot of turns drawing cards. Now, some good ones come up there. That's a couple of tucking birds that can go in the grasslands, so they might start thinking about setting up some sort of grasslands going on. So we've got the finch. I think I saw the robin as well, and the towhee as well, and even the bunting to give you food. So, if they can get 2 or 3 of those cards down in the next few turns, that's a really solid grasslands setup going into round 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's got to look at getting that. Yep. I really like what he's doing there.
Yep.
Yeah, because now he's, his food engine, his forest is weak, his grassland is weak, and I think putting that towhee down sooner rather than later. For sure.
And the bunting as well is always a nice option. You can sometimes struggle with that if you get stuck not being able to re-roll the bird feeder, but I think what Tay's looking at is seeing that Wingspanner has got such a nice forest set up. They will be, rotating that bird feeder plenty enough, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Sure.
I would say that is potentially why they went for the food, and unfortunately they lucked out, got the cherry and the grub they need, and we'll be looking to get some of these birds down and start laying eggs. We've already got Mother Love saying that their money's on Tay. I'm gonna play my chop card right now, and I'm inclined to agree. I think I'm gonna call it early. My money's on Tay right now.
Now I prefer, I don't think my foot tastes very good, so I don't want to put it in my mouth. But I'm curious, and maybe this is where Tay knows what I do not. I'm kind of curious why he went robin and not bunting there, because then he could have played the bunting and then laid eggs and gotten the food to play the robin.
Robin first is interesting. I think what I would have done is gone towhee first, and then when you lay eggs you get that grain back, and then you can play the bunting, and now suddenly when you're laying eggs, you're getting two eggs a turn, or 3 eggs a turn, sorry, and that 2 food.
Right.
And then you can then use that food to get down your tucking cards. Whereas I think now what they're going to do, they can get the towhee down, but they're going to need a grub for that bunting at some point. So that's another trip to the bird feeder they could have avoided.
Yeah. Yeah, because they could have that, because at this point, okay, they got 13 turns left. They could have spent, say, 7 or 8 of them getting down that tucking.
Yeah, and I
think complex.
I think it's safe to say that they can commit to the grasslands now because they're not going to run out of egg spots. They've got the robin that's got 4 egg spots. They've got the house finch that's got 6. I think the towhee's got 4 as well. So they're not going to be running out of egg spots anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, you know, it's looking like, well, I was gonna say it's kind of looking like egg spots or eggs may be the path to victory for Tay, but then again, you know, Wingspan are now, we're nearly the end of round 2, and you know, he's got 2 bird points. So
yeah, yeah, it's, you know, there's more to Wingspan than just getting points from birds, but when you're on 2 bird points coming up to the end of round 2, that's when you start to worry, especially
yeah,
with only 4 eggs as well and only 2 tucks. You know, they've got some nice enough birds in their hand. I see the blackbird there, so they've now got, I think they've got 2 blackbirds and then also the coot in the tray. Um,
mhm,
this is where my brain goes full tuck, but you know, we'll see what Wingspanner does.
yeah. Now, see, the full tuck thing is a situation like that where you've got so many tuck and lay birds, and see, this is where the full tuck strategy is. I mean, it's still something that I'm, you know, kind of feeling out, because, you know, at some point you've got capacity issues, right? So,
Sure.
you know, I mean, it's awesome when you're getting, you know, 6 or, you know, 7, you know, points per wetland activation with a great tucking engine. But then if you're all of a sudden your eggs are full and it, you know, becomes a 3 or 4 point, maybe it's not so good.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about controlling where you're filling up those egg spots. So being able to draw enough cards that before you run out of those egg spots, you're playing a bird, and you know, clearing out some of those eggs. That's kind of the key thing. And I think actually in this situation, with the nice enough forest setup they've got, you know, if they do draw a good enough bird, they can pretty quickly get the food needed to get it down. Now that's an
Yes,
interesting play. That's an interesting play, going blackbird in the grasslands, because I'm not, unless they're switching grasslands and they're going to go Phoebe. You know, they're essentially spreading out too much of their birds. You know, the dove and the sparrow in the forest is such a nice setup, but they're not going to be using it enough to make it worth it if they're committing to the grasslands.
Oh, he would have had, yeah, Mother Love says he would have had Phoebe in full tuck, though, so he essentially has the resources. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see, it's different where you have a, you know, you throw a food generating bird into the mix down there.
Definitely. If you can get a Phoebe, sure. If you can get, you know, one of the hummingbirds, just something that gives you food, so that, you know, within a few turns you're able to play a bird and clear some of those egg spots. I think that saves you so many problems. Yeah, I've picked up on that as well. Mother Love's just pointing this out in the comments. The house wren got tucked by the robin. Now the whooping crane has come up, which is obviously a really nice bird, but I can't think why they would get rid of the house wren. That's, you know, it's 3 points with their bonus card for a single food, and it gives them so many more egg spots that they wouldn't have to worry for the rest of the game.
Yeah,
and
that's
a tie. That's a tie at the end of that round. That, you know, I think Tay-Ray really could have looked at winning, especially, you know, they had the extra spot even just on the vulture, but they declined to fill that up.
Yeah, and see, this is so interesting, and I sometimes comment, you know, on the server to say, you know, about how I need to study more, and it seems, you know, Mother Love seems to, you know, pick up on these scenarios really well. Like I just, it'd be fascinating, you know, to see the kind of the spreadsheet for, you know, a series of, you know, 8-10 turns down the line, how many points these engines are going to be able to generate.
Yeah, we just had the goose come up in the tray for the start of round 3, and that would have been so nice for Tay-Ray to get, but Wingspan are probably not going to play it themselves, but quite sensibly jumped in on there and took that away, because the goose with the towhee is a very strong combination. You know, that's,
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well,
that's you're getting the 2 tucks and you're getting the food you need to activate that.
Yeah. He's got the crane as well. Barrett, had that sense very early in the game for.
Yeah.
So
that's both of those birds gone for Taylor.
Yeah.
Hummingbird in the crow. Interesting. We'll Tay go for the hummingbird. They've got the food to play it. Let's see. They're definitely going to lay eggs. They need to fill up those bowl nests, and that third end of round should be theirs.
What's funny is I was teasing Tay Ray in the commentator thread about him being him being all serious, being Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, being all serious, and like we've just been we've been all business here. It's been no jokes to speak of. We've failed in our duty plan.
I don't think there's not been too many disastrous plays that have been worth joking about, but there's still 8 or 9 turns left, so let's see.
Fair enough.
They have gone hummingbird though. They have gone hummingbird, which I like to see. I think it gives them even more egg spots in the bowl nest for that third end of round. Helps for the fourth end of round as well, but the crucial thing is 2 food per turn, plus all those eggs, plus all those tuck cards. I think Tay can just run grasslands for the rest of the game, really, and maybe get some food for the crane and any other birds they pick up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the absolutely beautiful things about the crane versus the spoonbill or even the rail. Is those 3 wild spots are just tailor-made for this kind of situation where you've got hummingbird and the towhee together.
For sure. And then you play the crane and you draw the omnivore expert and you're laughing.
Oh yeah.
Especially with the hummingbird and the brant already down.
Mm-hmm.
They're struggling a little bit on what to play here, I think, Tay. I don't know if they're thinking about the sparrow for that extra egg. They can't be thinking about the turn, surely. There's a lot of thought going into this turn. There we go. I think that's the right move. I think get the hummingbird down. Make sure you get enough food. See, these are the kind of things where when you're playing yourself, you can go back and forth on this indecision. But when you've got people watching, and you know that people are watching.
Oh yeah.
There's that whole added dynamic.
Sure, or even it's always easier to be the one watching, right? Because all we have to do is
absolutely
point out what we see. It's like we don't have to consider every possibility. He's trying to make the most.
Yeah, and hey, I mean, I've been on the other side of this. When you're watching back a game that you've played and you've got people commenting on it, and they're saying, "Oh, what are they doing there? What's that move? What are they thinking about?" But you clearly had something in your mind at the time as to why you were doing that. So it's one thing understanding it yourself. It's another thing, getting 2 armchair experts to understand it. Oh no, I'm not sure I like that. Maybe that's a reaction to the Phoebe going down, but that hummingbird gone, tucked. Jeez, somewhere is crying. I don't know why they've held on to the Blue Jay for so long. The Blue Jays they're never going to play that. Then they're going grasslands all get okay. There we go.
Oh well, there you go. Yeah.
Finally, they've been holding on to that Blue Jay for so long, and it's finally gone. Okay, Mockingbird. Now, if they get a free grub here, I don't know if it's worth playing.
Yeah, I mean it's going to net you.
It's an extra point. It's an extra point, and
it's an extra point.
You know, it unlocks that extra egg as well, discarding the food at the end of the game.
Sure. So even say if you double up on the on the Tohi, then for one turn you're getting 2 points with those extra eggs.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just looking back at Wingspan's board now, and I think it feels like a missed opportunity here. I think at the start of the game there was so much promise for, going for that swapping between the forest and the wetlands, and it's just turned into a classic. Let's get birds in the grassland, and ignore that lovely sparrow and dove, and give my opponent 3 worms for the end of the game. So I might be able to do something with this goose, but I think they're going to run out of grain too quickly for this. Yeah, I see Tay's looking out thinking, I wish I had that goose. Sadly not. Yeah, I think this is what Tay's final few turns are pretty much going to be. Go through the grasslands, you get in 5 eggs, another 2 tucks, and a food, so it's much stronger than what Wingspan has got. And they managed to get it down much quicker as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Really having a hard time knowing which of these birds to tuck, and the mockingbird's gone. I'm not sure how to feel about that. I think that would have been a nice one to play at some point. But I think they've probably got their eyes set on the whooping crane, and then maybe hope that they can get another bonus card. I see they've got the pipit in their hand. Maybe you play that later on, but for a final round play, that's essentially 1 point after the eggs plus a bonus card. If you don't get lucky on that, it's a dud play at the end.
Yeah.
Well, there's the free grub. You could have played the Mockingbird, Tay. You could have played the Mockingbird. Not to be.
Yeah, and I'm still like, one thing I would be looking at, and I'm not saying that he made the wrong decision in chucking the hummingbird at all, but like one thing that I might be looking at if I were going back over it just as a matter of study is how might this have played out if I threw the mockingbird on there, and because you get that crane down, like you saw he picked up the the ring-billed gull, so it's like an omnivore or a wetlands bonus would look really nice for those. Potentially, I mean, if he would have even had, it would have even made sense to get a 5th wetlands bird down. It may not have, but I mean, I definitely do like what he's got going on here.
Yeah, and I think in the same vein, I think if you're Wingspanner looking back on this, you can think, at what point should I have committed one way or the other? We've seen all of these lovely tucking birds that have come up that could have gone down in the wetlands that they chose not to play, and it's one of those where you look back and think, how would the game have played out if I'd gone with the tucking engine? But it's a lot of if buts and maybes. Heat of the moment, it's hard to make that decision.
Sure.
Now it's getting closer to that point where Tayray has to make a decision, because they can probably lay eggs for one more turn and then they're going to run out of spots. That the crane is a short-term fix. It's only going to give them one more egg spot, so that will then buy them one more turn of laying eggs, and then after that they're going to need to seriously start thinking about getting some big point birds down, because if they run out of egg spots, then this engine is going to stall.
Right. I wonder. Do do you not take a look at the Vireo here? Because it's 4 points. It meets his food web expert, so it's another 2 points. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got, especially if I don't know if Wingspan is going to give any more Phoebes or I mean give any more grub, or if that even ends up mattering. But yeah, I think I like the.
I think they could expect one more. I think Wingspan is definitely going to try and get that fourth grassland bird down, because the way they're looking at it, they're only one behind. So if they can get the food, they've got the I think that's the prairie chicken at the end of their hand, and then they've got the woodcock. Those are both nice birds they could get down in the grasslands for big points, but they're going to need the grubs for that.
Yeah, and I think from Tay's perspective, so they need 5 food, 3 of which are wild, and then they've already got 1 grub. They're, as you say, they'll probably get another from the Phoebe, and then having that 5th bird down, they can use whatever spare food they have to pick up an extra egg. So yeah, I really like his getting the Vireo there.
Yeah, very official. I mean, it's already a good card in its own right, but with the food web expert, it's 2 extra points. It's a star nest. It helps out with any bonus card they might draw. And actually, we've got some good points in the chat as well. This is where, if they kept the Wren going red and Vireo, both meeting the bonus card for three food and unlocking all those extra egg spots they need, this would have been perfect.
Does Chop thinks, I'm looking at the chat here just real quick, I can't follow too many things at once, but Chop seems to think I'm you, because he says, Groove, can't get 2 armchair expert, they have a plan in their head. Also, Groove, I don't like that, what he was saying. I think you said armchair expert, so
I'm going to blame it on you.
I'm getting falsely accused here.
Oh, that's a bad bonus card draw there for Tay. That's... I don't know what they could have hoped for. Omnivore expert's obviously the ideal one, but maybe ground nest, they got 5. That would have been 6 of the Vireo as well. There's quite a few they could have got, but I think Falconer 0 points. Not looking
Dude,
good.
even a backyard birder there. I mean, with all those baby birds he's got laid down, it's like you're praying for backyard birder in that spot.
I think they both are at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, even this turn, Tay's going to fill up on eggs, potentially then get the Vireo down and lay eggs again. That's probably what I'd be looking at. They've got the food for that. Get it down in the grasslands, get that 5th bird, secure the end of round. If you're Wingspanner, it's a difficult one. They went woodcock in the forest. I'm not quite sure I like that. You save the egg, but you're almost throwing away this final end of round goal, just for the sake of 1 egg. I'm not sure I like that.
Yeah.
And they're going for food. Why are they? I think they want to get the prairie chicken down. Obviously, they've got the egret in their hand, which is really, really nice. This is kind of, one of the birds you look to get late in the game.
Yeah, but
if you Tay-Ray, that would have paired up so nicely with the crane. But looking at Wingspanner's hand, they've just got no other wetlands birds. They can't use it.
Right. Well, it is. I mean, no, I agree with you. Although in his case, or their case, I should say, with the ecologist, that egret becomes an 8-point play after you account for eggs just on its own. So, that's
that's a fair point.
That's a viable option, I think.
Yeah, it might be one of those rare occasions where actually not using the double bird power is okay. It's still a good bird in its own right. Like you say with the ecologist, it's going to get good points. I'm interested to see what Tay's doing here. I think they must be thinking about what Wingspan is going to do with their grasslands, because at the moment, obviously, they're winning the centre round goal, but they know that one more bird is going to tie it. And I think if they played the Vireo in the forest and then ended up tying this end of round, I think they're going to look a bit silly. So they're going to try and avoid that. And breeze. Ooh, Oologist, perfect.
Oh, there you go.
Lovely. I think that makes up for the Falconer. I think, 6 points between those two bonus cards, that's okay. You'd hope for better, but actually, on balance, I think you take that if you're Tayray.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're looking, 8, so to be 8 points total from the bonus cards. That's not too bad. That's not great, but it's not.
It could have been worse.
Could have been worse. Yeah.
And of course, now they get the grub after they had to spend, I think, a fish and a grain for that second grub for the Vireo. But these are the things you can't account for. You can't expect your opponent to activate the VB, because then if they don't, you lose out.
Right.
So you can only go with what you've got. And I think for Tayray at this point, it's just lay eggs. They're gonna miss, I think, one egg. They're a bit short on spots, but that's still a 6 point engine at the end of the game. So I think you take that. Fill up your Oologist.
2 eggs. Yeah. 2 eggs, but I mean, not to disagree with your larger point, which is you take it. That's fine.
Yeah. And I think you're right about Wingspan. I think they've intentionally made sure they've got those 2 grubs so they can get the egret down. And like you say, that's an 8 point bird at the end of the game, which is very nice. Yeah, so they're going to miss the sparrow egg, but they still get the 2 tucks. There's a Franklin's gull, of course. At some point in the game, Tayray had
Raven,
to get Franklin's
tuck
gull.
a raven, draw a raven.
Oh, well, they got the Swift though. That's like the perfect partner in crime for the Franklin's gull. Probably would have liked that a little bit earlier, but that is a nice enough grassland setup that they didn't need it.
Sure.
And there goes the egret without a partner. Okay.
Nobody played the turkey. I couldn't make a bad joke.
Oh, it's close. It's close. I think Tay is gonna edge this on the tucked cards at the end. I think that's gonna be what makes the difference. And there you go. Tayray takes it 94-84. Fairly close in the end. I think it looked like at one point that Tayray was going to completely run away with this, but Wingspanner did a decent enough job of bringing it back in the grasslands with those with those turns at the end, and obviously the egret as well. But yeah, that was a good game. Some interesting plays for sure.